Focus in the center somewhere. Be good.
It's ready. It's recording.
Okay. Well, to start off, we have a list of things that we captured in our planning, just sprint topics to go through, but we have a couple spots where we have folks from other areas that want to come in and cover topics. So, is it? Yeah. Okay. So, and there was a session on federation. Okay.
So I just want to have introduced George Silvers. He's our engineer, and now he sits in Keystone. He's a Keystone guy. But we would like to contribute part of our work upstream, and that is about mixing and match federations between multiple clouds. I'll get George to give the details.
So at the last summit in Vancouver, we proposed a set of changes here. And the purpose of the changes was to enable multi-land work cloud, where different organizations are standing up OpenStack deployments. And you can take resources from one and combine them with resources in another, in any way you want. It would be sometimes called Open Cloud Exchange. So the response that we got from people is that a lot of people like some of the things this allowed. This way you can have competition for providers, because someone who has a cool storage, a cool new storage backend doesn't need to stand up a full stack for people to use it. They can just stand up the storage backend. This might allow people to test experimental services that shouldn't have access to the rest of OpenStack as easily. And it might help make security indefinite, because now every service the services are in different authentication domains. The other thing we were told is that it's utterly impossible, and that no one will believe us until we do it. So the demo here is only one system. There's one system call, one API call, and it's Nova volume attach and volume detach. So I have I have two OpenStack installations here, they're dev stacks. On the left, I have a Nova volume, and on the right, I have a Nova instance, and on the right, I have a Cinder volume. And we modified the Nova code so that we can actually attach them together. So this is making use of keystone to keystone federation, so you can actually get authentication across the other side. So we should go to the attachment state and then data use. And it turns out, actually, without thinking very hard about the Cinder backend stuff, this just works. Or at least it does in my setup. So what we need to find out is, first of all, what horrible things might happen with other Cinder backends besides iSCSI and DevStack. If there's something that will totally break, then we need to know that.
How is your connectivity between these different clouds?
So these are both DevStacks, and the iSCSI backend is actually currently exposed to the public internet. So clearly, for this to work, the Nova needs to be able to reach the underlying storage network. So a simple way to do that is just have it be on the same storage network. I've been told that this is not practical in many cases.
Fiber channel won't work at all.
And Ron, you might want to talk about this. We've talked to some other storage vendors, and they have had some ideas of how to do this more practically.
So I mean, the security issues, we have things that Etherpad says fine, that's in scope for solving, that that's there's stuff that's in scope.
So I think he's worried about the performance issues.
Well, you have to have a fiber channel connection from one cloud to the other cloud. You have to have a physical connection plus routing, switches.
We're assuming a co-located data center, if that helps. Okay. Because that's the only way that mixing things between
slightly helps, but you still have to have them on the same fabric.
So for fiber channel, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, right there.
that's what I said. It's just,
So fiber channel is probably a non-start, but there are plenty of other storage solutions that are not fiber channel, right?
yes, of course. And it'll have to be documented that fiber channel is not
Yes.
practical for this and just won't work. And if you try and do it attached, it just will always fail.
So this is a campus-wide federation use case. It's not.
You're not federating
I've got
between
storage in New York
East Coast and
that I
West
want
Coast.
to-
So,
You
let's
could
step
federate
back, let's step
if
back.
you're all right with having very high latency, and you have a really big hyperconductive center, you could try.
So let me give some background here. Okay, so this use cases came up because we are trying to connect within the same data center among different universities. We have pods in the data center and we try to connect them together. We are working on the way for network-wise, but now we're looking for a way in terms of storage-wise. And all this, and the pipes, actually, we do have direct connect a pipe between data center and out to Cambridge, but that direct pipe. So we have two regions, OpenStack cloud right now, and that being deployed as our production. So the next step is basically try to get Cinder to work and no problem, to pass the work. And that's when this change came up. And by the way, I'd like to introduce that's around people. He's our director at the U there.
So there's a series of use cases that go beyond sort of a whole bunch of universities and industry partners that want to have services. And there's a bunch of other use cases that we'll talk about at the end. The main question here is just, is there any gotchas that we're not yet cognizant of? Certainly fiber channel.
Yeah.
You're right. We're pretty confident that we have vision to security issues in September and with us does but that's sort of possible as long as you have the connectivity.
Right.
What's assumption, not an assumption between the two routes?
We're working very closely with sort of a bunch of the different networking vendors on federation opportunities for networking. In this scenario, we're simply assuming that the networks that the storage owners have.
So whatever is emitting your storage back in, both sides need to talk. Right?
So they're basically on the shared storage network.
Yes, if you want to phrase it that way.
Or there's there's network connectivity. We could have multiple storage networks and dynamically change where the volumes are exposed.
Right, and potentially some of this could be.
Am I routable?
But I have something concerned to say. I know you guys have run this same section across the country. Unfortunately, maybe I'm the only Cinder person.
You were the only Cinder person there, yeah.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, I have several concerns. First, if you have it, for example, over here in this deployment, you have a volume over there. I mean, it depends a lot on how you configure your network to make it happen. No matter it's a federated identity or not.
Absolutely.
That's first.
No, absolutely.
That's first. The second thing is that I think this is a tool cloud. You extend the control panel of Cinder. You see, that's a Cinder. If that's Cinder APIs, that's the controller. But here, it's a kind of another controller. You extend the ability of controller.
How do you see that?
I mean, how do you, for example, how do you resolve the quota issue, or how much space I need to report?
The quotas
Where
are
to
an issue
report?
here at all. The quotas are.
The quotas are contained within.
We haven't modified Cinder at
The
all.
quotas are contained within each cloud deployment, OpenStack deployment itself.
But this is two points.
He's
But there's
just
no
doing
Cinder
a
volumes.
volume attachment between two clouds. That's all he's doing. He's not having one cloud provision volumes on another. Someone else has to do that over there. The quotas are still.
That's a lot on network configuration.
Yeah.
Well, of course it does.
We all agree
Absolutely.
that the networking is-
Yes, absolutely.
Just clarify, you're right, you're not looking for any changes in Cinder right now. You're looking.
All
to-
these changes are no, but no.
Right, so assuming that whoever's setting this up provides the connectivity,
I think that's very.
there's no change on our side of this, right? So you're just here looking to see what other gotchas you might not.
We
be
need to
aware
figure
of.
out what else we need to do.
So if this was deployed within the same data center per se, and you had fiber channel fabric connectivity between all of the hosts, then it actually would work.
And does the fiber channel, this is all units in our part, does it have the right multi tenancies?
Yeah.
Okay. Then that's great.
Yeah.
So this is, there's security issues to be worked out here. It's, what we have is okay for our current scenario, but that's great to know. So
Yeah, it should
that's a
work.
good option.
It has to be fully connected though. I mean, you have to be, the servers and the fabric on one cloud has to still go through the same FC switches that the other one goes through.
Right, so if you have a service provider that sort of degree of value he wants to offer, that's actually plausible.
Yes. Is there any chance that we could have one conversation going on at any one time? We can't hear. Sorry, guys.
So, yeah, assuming the connectivity is there, there's nothing really jumps out to me.
Yeah.
That would be an issue that you need to be aware of.
So sorry to throw a grenade at it, but I didn't understand what the initial assertion was as the deployments, if you're talking West Coast, East Coast, or within the same, because that's
That's all.
vastly different. Vastly different. Yeah, yeah.
And there's a lot of these scenarios that we start figuring out, colo facilities with people staying up services, enterprises that have one OpenStack deployment, they start an OpenStack deployment from a different organization, but want to share some storage.
Yeah,
resources between
Two
them.
private clouds within the same organization and wanting to be able to attach volumes or whatnot.
And for
That's
certain
cool.
use cases, even a West Coast, East Coast thing could work.
Well, let's look at
Right.
But it's kind of interesting, I mean, it could work, it's kind of interesting from a hybrid cloud perspective, which is sort of a big thought in the enterprise. And, I mean, there's no reason it can't work that you know, right?
Or the occasional Hail Mary, I need to get my data backed up and there's nowhere else to put it. I know it's gonna take 3 days, but it's gonna get there.
Well, there's also things like yada yada, that there's various people that have done these
It's
types.
kind of a cool thought as a hybrid cloud that, you know, hey, I've got my private, cloud going, but I need some backup storage over here. It's kind of interesting and, or it sounds like with something like iSCSI, there's not really an impediment to that.
Right. Or the other
It's
side,
that latency and the huge race conditions with Cinder Nova.
So this is actually kind of a compelling reason for continuing the replication support within Cinder 2. Because in this case, you would definitely want to replicate your volumes to your other known deployment of your cloud so that way you could still access it. And then in the case of unmanaged, you could still do an attachment.
Sorry, you just mentioned, you just used the phrase race conditions between Cinder and nodes.
Yeah.
Can you expand that a bit?
Well, I mean, it kind of stems from the fact that Cinder and Nova were one.
Yep.
And then when Cinder got broke out of Nova, things were done, which is great. People did that, but it's kind of crazy right now.
Oh,
We're
it's-
trying to change these things. We have a pretty large deployment, and we see like volumes get stuck in detaching or attaching, and there's network glitches and things that are exposed. And if you were to increase the geographic distance of the network
Yeah.
latency, you're just going to expose more of that. It's not a big deal, but it's a deal that, you know, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen more. I think it's an interesting use case to say, I want to replicate, or I just need some more storage, and I'm just going to whip out my credit card and use some other thing that's way out here on the internet and attach a volume. That's kind of cool, but it will make the existing problems bigger because the
is this potentially useful in exposed?
maybe, but the fact is, I think we kind of know. We haven't worked on it, like, we never we know about it, but maybe, but it's not the issue.
So my version here is that when you look at the Nova and Neutron interaction, Neutron actually has to make data calls back to Nova
Right.
to ensure synchronization.
Cinder will someday.
We're-
Will.
we
wanna-
started
we
talking
wanna do
about that.
exact same thing to make things better, because right now,
Because
it's an asynchronous call. Nova says, attach my volume, and of course it's gonna work, bye-bye, but that's a bad thing.
Yeah, these might just take a very long time.
That's actually as much saying that's the reason we're in front of you.
Yeah,
Is
because that's actually a fairly big wrinkle, because now if Cinder's making calls back to Nova, we have to alter Cinder too.
That
And
will
that
happen
explanation
when,
is tricky.
not M maybe, but N, I mean.
So we'd like you to kind of, one of our reasons here is we're trying to raise the use case profile, even if all our changes right now are somewhere else and they're getting subject to it. We want to make sure that Cinder's cognizant of this change and not doing things that'll sort of break it by mistake.
Yeah.
So, I think, and one of our things, I think this is a useful set of use cases to push in. So, we'll try to keep on understanding when you guys are making those changes, but also because sort of ingots, there's things that make breakouts. That would be really good.
Or where we watch to hear about breaking is equally, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, it'll be a while,
Okay.
but we'll be, we're just kind of getting in contact and we know,
Yeah.
the IRC channel is kind of open.
Great.
Are you going to use the food volume in this case at all?
Yes, we'll explore that.
Okay. Food volume is actually attached on the cinder. No, it's not. You actually. when you
Creating
create
the
a
boot
food
volume. Yeah, that still happens within the one deployment, and that will still work.
Okay, and then you do that one too.
The
The
Nova side.
the image has to come from the Nova deployment on one side, and that obviously is going to be painful.
So-
Yeah, I mean it'll be slow. It'll be horribly slow, but hey, this
You
is
probably won't want to do that.
yeah. You'll want to create your volume over there on that side with an image that lives over there.
You
that
actually want to also support federated glance, and then maybe you'll be able to
Right.
use the glance.
What you really think about is the security side is that given that there's some degree of shared networks, you have to orchestrate networking changes of making volumes appear in different networks or orchestrate, which I think is kind of plausible scenario with NetApp, or moving things to different data spaces. I don't think any of this is actually terribly hard. And the value is, if you do that, you're actually, the value is within a single cloud. You're now, right now, if you penetrate a single hypervisor, that actually can destroy all your volume. So this, or at least that's our perception. So it's the same principles of what you want to for hypervisor isolation you'd like to have here. If that makes sense. Actually, does that make sense?
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or are you making some assumptions in terms of uniformity of the hypervisor between the two clouds? So that
Not right now. I don't think there's any more sense.
so you're creating a volume and attaching it in one.
Well, the hypervisor has to have whatever driver it needs to talk to the same backend, because obviously we're using the same backend.
Correct, but if you're attaching the same volume in one,
The same driver. Yeah. And that's the question. We weren't sure that would work, and that appears to be fine.
So can these remote volumes be in the same consistency?
CG people can answer that.
What was the question? I didn't hear. What was the question?
These remote volumes, can they be still in the same consistency group or do you impose some-
It's still self-contained within the cloud that you provisioned it in. I don't see what the problem is there.
Yeah, they're just hashing.
Yeah.
Creating still. No, for one instance, one VM, I might have multiple volumes in different. Oh, if you want to
Yes,
attach
that's
them
gonna break.
different.
That's going to break CGs. If you have one volume in a remote site and one volume in a local site, that's effectively like having a CG split across multiple backends.
Yeah, that's-
It's not going to work.
That-
We're not talking about having CGs split across two clouds, right?
That's not a CG.
Well, it can be
That's a
something that's
mess.
like do by accident, right? So it would be another thing that we want to make sure.
I don't know.
Can you give me a 30-second introduction to consistency groups?
Go ahead, Jing.
Okay. Well, consistency will basically allow you to group volumes together, but then you can kind of using them as one. So you can have your application, on that group of volumes, like one volume, maybe you have your database, the other one, you have logs or something like that.
Sure.
But then you can take a snapshot just, at the same time, and then it's still consistent.
I see.
By using them as one, you mean snapshotting all of them.
Yeah, when you take a snapshot.
You still have to attach them individually
And so
to where you want them.
creating the consistency group is a call that's entirely in Cinder.
Yes,
It's in Cinder,
it's
yes.
self-contained within Cinder itself.
You would need something in Cinder that said, if this is a remote volume, then.
Well, but Cinder will never be looking at a remote.
No, you don't.
Well, I'm going to do that one.
We are not proposing that Cinder is looking at a remote volume.
No. It's only the attachment that is of any interest in what you do with it over there versus here is of interest. It's-
So it still has to be, whatever, you have to choose just one backend, but, all of those, whatever, even if there are.
The same rules for creating the volumes within that CG still apply.
Yeah, so presumably you already have a problem that everything in the consistency group, even in a single cloud, have to be with the same backend,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So if you have that, that constrains not
That's
all
what
I don't think they're talking about changing that at all. It's just, you know, what,
It's not going to change, right?
Correct.
It would be a problem.
yeah.
It means that if you're using remote volumes, you won't be able to get that feature.
Well, no, or you could use them all for the same.
Yes, you can do that.
All volumes and that remote backend can have
Yes.
still.
Yeah, so I think that's a fine. That would, obviously, the user should be careful about.
Yeah.
Make sure all his volumes are the same.
And I think this also means that I could have consistency groups here and have VMs running in different other OpenStack deployments and still get the consistency group benefits, which is interesting.
Well, so your volumes all has to be on the same backend.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So the volumes have to be at one place, but your VMs now have to be in different places.
Your
You can
VMs,
still
yeah,
use it.
yes, you can.
Right. You attach them to different places, and that's how you decide to design your apps. Then go for it if you want. That's fine.
What is the federation versus configuration of the federation?
So, okay. So most of the configuration is just setting up the keystone to keystone identity federation.
It's just a config file.
There's some SAML assertions and some things that identify the IDPs to the SPs and back and forth. So basically, use the IDP in this is me blob, and you give it to the SP who stores it. And so that way, when you come, because your SP can have multiple IDPs attached to it, right? So your service provider, I'm using actors, the identity provider, your IDP, right? So the person that knows, the thing that knows who you are is identified to the service providers, and there could be multiple things that allow, right? So if Backspace and somebody else all attach to the same storage piece, right? But they would all be IDP to it. So this key would have 3.
I think the short answer is there are config files. There's some OpenStack config files. There's some non-OpenStack component config.
We get a context keystone is passed into Cinder requests that are still valid,
Yes.
that the local keystone, the context correctly.
You get a token for your local keystone.
Okay.
Cinder.
So
So-
basically, we were saying if the callback becomes briefly, is
Yeah,
that because
Cinder needs to get a token for the remote cloud somehow. So Cinder will need to do keystone authentication
So-
in the other direction.
So- Think about the Cinder callback, we have to do, Neutron already does this, so. Nova has a whole mechanism, and they do it for the same reason we want to do it.
Yeah.
When Nova says, do my networking thing, they want Neutron to call back and say done.
Yep.
And so, just for your use, you can look at the plumbing there. and-
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if it works for Neutron today, then the same mechanism should work for Nova or Cinder
Well,
tomorrow.
yeah,
Well,
no,
yes.
we need to, right now, that mechanism doesn't.
It doesn't combine very well, but
Right.
We will need to add that.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, if you wanna fix the future thing with Cinder, fix the Neutron thing today, and it's the same thing.
Right.
It will use the same,
Although I don't think we're gonna
Nova.
be, we're gonna be using remote networks anytime soon. So Cinder's.
but please do it, because it's kinda cool, and I think that this, hybrid cloud is kind of an interesting thing that people talk
Sure.
about all the time, and so
But
this
the
really
moment-
solves that stuff.
yeah, but of all the gnarly things to go and attack.
No.
That one's pretty gnarly.
That's why I said please.
Yeah. The expectation is that this pattern can arise, and we'll be able to push it into middleware or a library or some.
So actually, one thing I just realized is, I'm assuming this is not a Nova Neutron interaction right now, but Nova could very easily just give some totally new random string that Cinder needs to give back. And that way you don't have to worry about difficult authentication stuff. Instead of using a token for the callback, it just uses some secret that's set up right there. There's ways around it, though. That's
So I think-
pretty big.
One of the parts is that this would be a place we would like to get involved. When you're doing a callback, I think we would definitely like to participate in that to not break what we're doing.
Sure. Well, it'll be a while, but well, you just gotta kind of pay attention and see, it'll be a loop and spec patch process, so.
Yeah.
So is the blueprint supposed to be out soon? Is someone working on that? The blueprint.
Now, I mean, personally, I think I'll be doing it, and I won't be doing it anytime soon, and my hope is to start work in Mitaka to like get the thoughts flowing and get the blueprint spec out, but I don't see it happening in Mitaka unless, wake up someday with nothing to do, which never happened, you know. I got a lot on my plate and I don't know if anything else is gonna pick it up, so I think it'll be, you know, a couple of months before I sort of start writing this stuff out, getting people's eyes on it, try to be realistic and not typical software. Like, it's easy, we can do it, we know how to do it, it's not, it's
Okay. So was there a presentation on the federations?
Only
Yeah.
recorded.
Well, an actual one
That's
that-
recorded.
I
But there are a few, not your federation example,
Oh.
federation in general.
Oh, yeah, yes.
I think there was a couple of them.
The first keynote, I think, was,
Yeah, okay.
and then there's an in-depth
Nothing-
session later.
Okay, just are we asking for presentations on?
No, federation in general.
Yeah, it's just something a little more in-depth that.
There was an in-depth,
If someone here wanted to really get involved in this and make sure that Cinder's.
I think the title was Federation Deep Dive.
Okay,
And like my DevStack GitHub repo,
And
right, has every bit of detail you need to.
just because the federation that's in there now is the Vanity Federation. We're starting Resource Federation. This is just going in there. All right, thank you.
Mhm.
thank you.
And then we have a problem also with induced volume migration.
Definitely in use. So what I'm sensing is that I should look through the code and see where Cinder calls it.
and look where the calls know to see what we're gonna do, because we'll do, yeah, if I write that code, I'll just rip off whatever your farm does, so that we know exactly where it is.
Okay, this is useful. This is very useful. Thank you.
If you don't know how to, it makes sense to go to Oslo, and just use the same.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of timing.
Yeah, okay.
Someday it'll be an Oslo, I don't know. I haven't even looked at the code. Yesterday, they do this thing, I heard about it, but I haven't looked at those.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks.
very much.
Thanks, guys.
And Josh will be in ISC, I'm sure, and there are a couple of engineers in the we'll watch, keep our watch eye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, the first one in our topic in our list is CVs and replication. Should we do that next? You want to ask me another one? Okay.
Famous last words.
Stack only got 3+2, so.
Yeah.
Need it.
Well, I'd say add one thing, which is we also have another topic.
Yeah, that's another one.
There's replication 2.1, and I believe Shane made a note down there that it overlaps.
That's not bad.
Well, we haven't even finished replication v2 yet.
Well,
I've getting drivers to
No,
implement
the
it,
point
so.
was, I talked to John about this, okay, the point would be, and I'm not trying to derail, I'm just trying to, we can come back to it
We can
again.
talk about that, yeah, sure. I think
I just wanted to make the observation right now that you had said there's overlap, so
Yeah, yeah.
at some point, we, you know,
Yeah,
we may
can
not
do
be able to
go through this
resist, we may not be able to resist segueing.
We also want to see if there's any, is there anything coming up from your presentation yesterday on application? I mean, related to CG that we want to talk about first before we. What do you want to do?
I wouldn't say related to consistency.
No, there's no questions on that, okay.
I think it's mentioned, people were asking about it. But
Yeah.
we were specifying requirements, and just asking if it was going to happen.
Ah, okay,
Right, nothing,
okay,
no requirement, nothing,
no new
just
comment,
will work.
Just make it work.
okay,
Things
all
are
right.
going.
How many drivers do we have that implemented CG?
There are quite a few actually now.
Estimate kind of-
5?
Yeah, 5, I mean, but if you count yours, how many drivers do you have?
We have
You
2.
have 4.
We have 3
Yes,
drivers
3
and 2 of
drivers.
them implemented.
You probably have 6 if you count it. SKZ and the PC separately,
Right.
and we have 6. You have quite a few, have, I don't know, 8, 7? So if you come back with them, can
Yeah, just what we have now. I mean, we.
yeah, so,
Okay.
I'm sorry, what yeah, so right now we have, which we have in Dell,
Pure.
coffee store.
That's several, so, yeah.
Okay. Adding replication to CG scares me right now, just because we haven't finished getting replication itself working.
Okay, so
We're still
I know, understand. That's why I have a two-phase. So that's why I have a two-phase approach. Okay.
Once you touch it, replication's yours, right?
Yes, okay. So
I mean,
it's just, okay.
I'm trying to be a little bit of voice of sanity with respect to this because.
Started. I know Sean actually has
I know.
raised the concern. Sean has.
What's broken?
So you can replicate a volume in a consistency group, scale it over to another array that maybe not is.
Well, I know this is part of the replication story that isn't done yet, right? So
I think at minimum what we need to do is sort of make sure that consistency groups are not overexposed by replication. Expense of the user, assuming they have a consistency group, trying to take a snapshot, finding out one volume, another array, another visibility system.
well, we could also do something different, right? Of not allowing you to create a replicated volume that's in a CG too, until we iron out replication itself.
Right. Yeah, I guess.
Instead of going 1,000 miles an hour.
I would consider implementation because we don't protect from operations. It shouldn't be done.
Yes, absolutely. I don't want to derail the whole. Hey, let's go ahead 100 miles an hour. I just, we.
Can you listen to what we're going to propose first, and then we can still
Sure.
whether we should go. I have this. Yes. Well, we have two things.
I'm not. I just want to raise the question.
I know it is hard to understand, but we just want to at least start talking about it. At least how to put this two together, because initially they kind of go parallel, right? So replication is at a volume level, CG, CG. So we want to see how these two can go together, right? So at least
I understand that. I understand that entirely. Yeah. That's not what I was trying to get at.
I know exactly what your concern is. So we can still talk about the approach.
Okay.
And then we'll see, because right now also we are also fixing problems in the replication code. Right?
And CG code. And CG code.
Yes, I know, but that the problem is CG code that we can fix. I don't think that can should be this one. In the replication, I know there are a few more things that we need to sort out, but we can probably sort them out, and then by the end, I think this still the phase one is that it's still possible to get in this. Yeah. Okay, we just talk about it. We're not converting things. We just talk about the approach, right?
I just said let's talk about it.
No, we want to
stay and be worried about it.
The proposal is that if you try to enable
So basically, basically in phase one, actually I have the stack actually last time. Is it with the link inside? So the phase one approach will be changing only at, so it's not going to change the API. We can change at the manager and driver and flow. So this way at least we are kind of trying to minimize the impact. I think I want to kind of walk through the process. How do you do that? Perhaps steps listed in the PLC code here. So it's yes, the second one. So now when you create a CG, now today we know that we have steps to create CGs. But first we create a empty loop, and then we create volume and add those volumes to that referencing that CG ID, right? So here, if you want to do a replication CG, then you basically in the volume type as a spec, then you have to have this replication enabled. It's true. Yeah, that's for replication. You need the entry for the volume, right? So if we have that flag, then we'll know, the backend will know that this CG is created for replication, because it's really at the create phase. It's really just a group of volumes. It's not really, it's not, you haven't taken a snapshot yet.
Right.
But then you can make a decision that if you want to say, okay, I want to use this for replication, then you'll start setting up that for replication. Okay.
Shing, I want to make one quick remark, which is a replicate. Consistency group is one kind of group of volumes. So there's a more general notion, I think, of a replication group, which is a group of volumes that we replicate together. So I'm just putting that in as a footnote.
Yeah.
Can we go back to that one? I don't want
Yes, and we can come back.
Exactly. I understand what you're trying to say, like, this could
I'm
be.
not objecting to what you're proposing. I'm just making the observation at this stage, because at some point we're going to talk about replicated groups of volumes, of which one type of group of volumes could be consistency groups.
Okay, we can talk about that one later. Yeah. Okay. And then okay, so after that, right? So then you create a volume, and then you add the volume to the CG. Basically, you give the volume type and give the CG type. Then the backend knows, okay, this is this volume belongs to a CG. It's going to do the driver doing the right thing, basically. Okay. So all of these commands will be at the volume level. So we're not proposing any new APIs or any new CIs. It's the manager will be making some decisions by looking at, it's a CG, CG is involved. If the volume is involved in CG, then it's going to do something with the group instead of just at one level.
Right, it's up to the driver to figure out how to make sure that
so the manager will figure out something first and then send that to the driver. So the driver will have you have existing volume level functions. Now we'll add some functions for the group level. So basically, the manager will be sending that to the driver. So the driver knows that's function. So we'll have another method in addition to, let's say, enable replication for volume, and then we're going to have one for CG. So this is just for the driver to know. This is for the CG, so you know what to do.
So we need new driver APIs for enable CG, enable replication, disable replication, failover replication.
Yes.
On CGs themselves.
Correct. Yeah. I think it's just clear. It's more clear that way. We can do that in one function, but then you have to do this in one.
Yeah.
So, and then you repeat that, and then so when you enable the CI, it's basically the same CI, right? So this way at least the interface to the user does not change that much. It's basically just the same. The APIs and CIs are the same.
Right.
I know. I'm just.
We don't have an interface to users yet with respect to all this, so saying it's not going to be a change,
No, I'm just saying that I'm just saying that I'm not proposing to add more APIs in the first phase, so that we just sort out, but we still will be able to do everything, just by making changes to the manager and the driver, and then when we think we're ready, then we can make changes to the APIs. So. It's not convinced.
What? What?
That's why you can. So the spec is there for review, and then there's some POC code. I still need to make some changes. there's still some existing comments that have not been addressed yet.
Okay.
So in general, that's the proposal. But I'm not saying, oh, let's merge it today. I'm just saying that, at least we should start thinking about how to put this two together.
Absolutely.
And we'll see
Yeah.
how we are doing with the replication volume stuff. Because I know there are things to be fixed, right? Probably, I know that we have already made our progress. I know that Patrick and Alex, they're all.
Yeah, we've been working pretty hard on
I know, yeah, so.
getting it to work, and we're still not really ironed it out. And that's the part that
Yeah.
concerns me with
Yeah, no, I'm not.
going ahead 100 miles an hour with adding
It's not
CG support with.
Not 100 miles. This is following that one. So if that one is going 100 miles, this one is following that one.
Well, it's not so much the word running ahead and adding features. It's the word-
Well, that's exactly what she's talking about, though.
It's fine. It's expected with consistency groups. The defining this is gray area. Right?
It is.
What we need to do is define what that expected behavior is before 20 drivers can do
Yeah. Done.
What I'm saying is, we have this, right? We have this plan, and then we will be fixing the replication problems in the replication. Then we'll see how that one goes. When everybody, when we all feel like that one is stable enough, then
Right.
this one really will be ready at almost the same time. Then at that time, I'm not saying okay, we'll merge this first before we sort out all the issues in the
Well,
replication
yeah.
first.
I
But it definitely should be talking about.
I think
this.
Sean is, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't say not talking about it. I never said that. It concerns me with adding features on top of something that is not done yet and not implemented widely by enough drivers to have any good solid feedback other than, 2 or 3 or 4 of them within this room. Right? So there are bugs with replicating volumes that exist in a CG, and I think we should solve those the short term. As Sean said, we should file those and solve those and figure out how to prevent users from getting themselves in trouble and then implement something that makes sense on all this work that you're doing, because I think it needs to happen.
Apart from the question of implementation,
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Constant, and I'm generalizing improving concepts because I see CGs as one kind of group, as I said.
Yeah.
But then she's raising the question for that kind of group. If I say I want
How do we support it?
a member of it, what are the implications for form?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first phase, right? That's the way it's aimed at. The second phase, that is implicit. I totally agree with you. We don't have one implementation merged yet for various reasons, right? So in terms of implementation schedule and so on, and frankly, the message back to our product managers from all of us, I think we need to set expectations.
Expectation, yeah.
We need to get something working and not repeat
What we did,
yes. And there's a chance that we could get out ahead of ourselves with implementations. Okay, I'm not picking it. We all want to make sure that none of us get
Yes,
do our best
absolutely.
and then find out we're doing something that can't work.
Just to be clear, for those that may not be working on replication or haven't looked at it yet, the people that are still actively changing how cinder.conf is set.
That's
We're
right.
still working on basic stuff
Part of
with
the homework
respect to
for
that.
coming here, I read through, Pure and HP, who are the 2 reviews up, and reviewed all the IRC conversations that Dell's been having with John about replication.
Yeah.
P2 and so on. And the spec is not the final word. Where,
Correct.
things are
Yeah.
evolving
Absolutely.
with the implementations iteratively as we go along. So I'm very sympathetic to Walt in saying, let's get one thing working right.
Yes.
And set the pace. But I also think it makes a lot of sense to think ahead.
Absolutely.
As we do that. So that
We're all engineers. We know how we need to make sure we're not going to design ourselves into a hole.
I'd like to make a point, and that's that for NetApp, we're working, trying to get implementations going, and not having an answer to how the group level is going to work is actually preventing us from making progress as quickly as possible. None of our platforms are able to replicate at the volume level. So
I see.
It's natural for us to do it at the group level. So this is, so your goal of let's get some drivers out there that work, figuring this out actually will help you too.
Yeah. We can replicate groups of volumes too in the back end,
Yes.
and that's different than replicating a single volume for us.
Right.
So
Much like a group are.
I definitely want to have this happen. It's just
I think that's good. So
Yeah.
The expectation is this is the discussion. This isn't something we're trying to get in immediately. It is forward-looking, and we do have work to do before we can. I just don't want to get to the point where someone does start to implement this, and then we realize, oh, there's something fundamentally wrong in replication. But now we can't really fix that because we have this other stuff built on top of it. So now we got to do some.
Definitely true. I mean, agree.
So the point of this is a heads up to the developers who are currently doing replication for their
to
drivers.
think ahead.
To think ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, but two versions of the application, right?
V1 is not in the picture. It shouldn't be. We still have some code sprinkled throughout the manager that we're still working on dealing with. And left it around so we didn't break IBM, because IBM was the only one who really implemented V1, and we don't want to blow them up, right? I think we were going to pull that out.
Well, I thought one of the discussions that you were going to update replication, or someone that would be good to update their support replication to V2, and then
Yes.
And we can.
That's Vincent.
You have a patch up for that now, right? Replication V2 for
And we can.
because that was the only.
Okay. Because it doesn't seem that we need effort here again, so that.
And to be fair, the reason why we have something that looks like it's going to be working is because of it's a trial and error, and do something better. So I don't want to have anyone beat up on V1 anymore. It's not.
Right here is keep that in mind as understanding. We'll be ready.
Yeah. Yeah. If you kind of work and put it up, then I think that's okay.
If the link is there, so you can. You don't have to go through the details. I think that makes sense. Just let it go through the RPC, and that's for small details. I think.
Yeah.
And that's not correct. Now I don't know if you want to look at that or.
The representation to be to
About that. So right now, the CG is implemented at is for per backend. So all the terms but in terms of their use cases, they can the application you come back, yeah. I was talking about the blue concept because we're talking about here a CG replication, right?
Okay, I
So-
thought we were segueing.
No, we're talking about the CG for replication here. So CG for replication, the CG things that have to work are the back for backend. So in your case, it's for core. So now
Someone. So the main requires a grouping concept. Pure has a grouping concept of some sort. P groups or whatever you have. Things into it.
Yes.
Now, it may be efficient for a backend. It may be efficient when necessary, depending on the case. For a backend to say, I want to replicate the entire pool as well, in terms of transaction operation, instead of doing each individual item. Okay, in particular, failover would work at background rather than at the individual.
Yeah.
That's certainly not alone being that circumstance. There's a community of people that have that need as well. Replication 1 and 2 don't address that yet. Okay, so that's what the conversation with John and so on was. We wanted to build off of what he had done, pulling stuff out of the create path, being able to let drivers do their own thing and so on, and keep consistency with the APIs he's developed, but just be able to change the granularity. And that's what was being called 2.1, not to make they suggested as an extension of what he was doing. Now,
So Tom, I'm wondering if you can just leverage the CG concept that is already in
I
there.
think we can certainly leverage what you said of a phased approach where, if this makes sense, where initially, if you're working on initially a call to a member of the group would trigger on the whole group. If that makes sense to do in the CG case, we can do that in the larger group case. If it doesn't make sense, we want to move to, as work through that decision. The community says, no, I really don't like the implicit approach. I want to go and move to an explicit change of the target right away. Then we will do whatever you're saying. But I don't think we say a larger group is just a kind of consistency group. That's just not true.
No,
Yeah.
So we can't be concrete in our cluster data on tap product. SnapMirror operates on a flex wall. If you get consistency group in our case is always more than one flex wall, so they are never the same. So we have
They're
to
not
have
the same.
group
It's
A.
not the same flex wall.
C group by definition is 2 or more flex walls,
Okay.
and SnapMirror is 1 flex wall. There's always a difference
Okay.
between the 2 groupings. Now, working with the detail,
Yeah,
our
I
product,
was
that's not my point.
So,
But I'm answering your question. No, we can't assume that they're the same.
No, not assume them the same, but can we use this CG construct in Cinder? But you still use this grouping, but you can use like something in the spectrum control, the granularity.
I think we could use the structure of the type of things you're proposing for another grouping concept that's more general. Okay, I mean, I think there's a lot of useful, all I'm resisting is the idea of saying all these other kind of groups are types of consistency groups. A consistency group has a different semantics.
Yeah, I know, yeah, so, yeah, okay.
Yes, of course.
I also want to
like
like
consistency
Because,
groups, right?
yeah, I know, no, but yeah,
Yes.
because here for for example, the initial consistency group, it's the CG snapshot, right? So until you create CG snapshot, the CG, whatever we store, the group of volumes, they're not really consistent. It's really the CG snapshot that is consistent, right? Because otherwise it's really just a group of volumes, and then but we have another thing called the CG snapshot that is consistent. That's a snapshot of the group. So you can actually really, I think, just use this the consistent group table to do whatever you want. I think.
Yeah, but I think you're missing an important point, though, is that the semantics of a CG for NetApp is entirely different for creating a replicated group of volumes in some instances, right? So overusing the idea of a CG to replicate a group of volumes doesn't necessarily make sense to them.
So what I was trying
So-
to say is like, we.
So like a user of the cloud, they actually see CGs, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Whereas, so you're saying they should make things that look like CGs, they
They're not actually CGs. It's not a generic grouping.
You're sort of implying that group of volumes can do.
Consistent type things.
Yeah, but it's not.
Yes.
I think that's maybe a little bit.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
But I also, I don't know exactly what will come out of this, but I'm just hoping that we're not creating another.
Well, I understand that desire not to multiply entities beyond necessary. But it's also, let's make the things as simple as we can, but just that simple.
Yeah.
We need to distinguish concepts from the not overload things.
So tell me one thing, what's the difference in what you're trying to do in Cinder and the consistency group that you implemented in Manila, where you have a pool level or at a 10 level? What's the difference there? Can you use something similar to that?
Yeah, especially when
Because
we
that is. So
no, I mean, for us, that would be a more natural, right? We did discuss perhaps using the pools as a replication group. And for us, I think that would work, but I don't know if that's a generally good idea.
Right.
I don't want to do and I've not done the homework, so I don't know if that makes sense.
So you can take the and see.
I don't want what our backend does or what your backend does to define the general case. Like that abstraction that allows us each to do our own thing properly and really capture the concept.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just looking at whatever that is in Manila seems to be, to me at least, maybe even see any use case in that, but I'm just thinking if you can, if that kind of a use case work for you, then maybe we can do something similar. And so,
I'm very
but I'm just, but of course the people have to discuss the details because right now I think they have some when they report capability, they report consistently whether it's a backend or just like a street or backend or pool or not. So in our case we say in true. So there is some difference there. But I think that we can probably sort out something later. But if that's the general idea that is okay with you in Cinder, then I'm just thinking maybe we can still use this.
Yeah, there's certainly advantages to that. I like the idea of having a model that's very similar between Manila and Cinder. That's a good thing, right? But of course, there are far more vendors who potentially have replication behind Cinder than Manila. So there are new people that need to be involved in that conversation. Right? They're non-file system backends. Tom, have you thought more about, I think when we discussed this earlier, I think you had done more research as to whether a pool was an appropriate construct. Do you have any comments on that?
Have you looked at the one that is in Manila? Just to see.
I'm not sure I understand exactly the question. In our case, they're asking, we would, I don't think a replication is necessarily a tool for everyone. Now you can ask the question about what we would do on paths, and that's a different conversation. It's kind of our other people it's totally open if other people are interested, we have to talk about it. And there, I think we would implement a replication group could be coextensive with a storage pool. Flex walls, in both cases, what acts the storage pool. But that may not be the case for other people. They may have another need for a group of volumes where it's implemented in a different way. That's why I'm treating it as where it's not a storage pool. It's just some other kind of arbitrary group of
Then you
volumes.
can have another type, right? Then just say, backend pool or some kind of group or another group. So when you
Replication group is what I'm calling it, where that's vendor specific as to how they implement the replication.
what you said, you can do pool level or backend or.
At the pool, I see what you're saying. You're asking whether within the, I'm sorry.
If you have like 3 different type of grouping construct, and you just define those 3 and kind of reporting those so that
It seems to me either a backend is doing. So are you're allowing consistency groups to span pools today?
Yes.
Okay. And or seems to me that that's a good thing. It's
That is
something
a
that's
lot
consistent
better.
with what we might want to do and with consistency groups. Now, would we want replication groups to be able to span pools or not? It seems to me probably we ought to allow that. Now, whether a particular vendor can do that and wants to do that, or whether they want to
No, so-
constrain
so-
the replication group
No,
to
so
be within a pool or coextensive with a pool, it's up to them.
But can that decision be taken out of the application and move into the grouping policy and have like a grouping policy framework that defines what the relevant usage is, a pool or a backend or whatever else it is? And then that applies, the replication will actually inherit that grouping policy. So whatever group we are referring to and what was configured to be the
That may well make sense. My objective today is just, is to say, we're going to be introducing a more general notion of replication consistency. I respect Walt's ideas that we ought to pace the implementations of these things appropriately. But we will be working to put out specs and engaging in a conversation, continuing this conversation going forward. I don't know that I have the answers to the right answers to the hard questions you
So
they
what?
may not even have the hard to be on the spot. I
Yeah.
don't know that I have the right answers. I think we ought to, as a community, have a conversation about working this through. My main point is just to plant the idea that there's a grouping concept that's more than just replicate the consistency groups. Consistent groups are very, very important kind of group. And that we need to have a conversation about grouping. We need to figure out how it fits with pools versus entire backends. And think about replication in that context as well. And obviously figure out a way not to go out the ocean while we have with current implementations.
Yeah.
So regarding your comments on the policy, so there is another way that I thought we can solve this problem is just to be schedule if that's the way that we decide to go, it can be, either we can say, okay, this is all scheduled at a platform or pool, or we can do some changes in the code to do that. So I think we're going to,
Yeah. So I don't want to derail what you're doing, Shane, and I apologize.
no, I'm already down, so I mean, it's good to have that conversation, so.
So there was one minor item that I think was in the original write-up, which was to talk about what happens when, sorry, I'm directly behind you, so you can't see me, right? I'll move over. Yeah, and that was to talk about the behavior of if a vendor can't implement one or more of the APIs, but is going to implement the others, right? So I just want to remind everybody that was on the
Yeah, so let's take this first. Well, let's take the scenario that we actually, just for the sake of argument, suppose we have the set of APIs that are in P2, enable, disable, failover, just the replication targets, et cetera, right? And let's multiply them for the sake of argument by consistency groups and then some other kind of group name for the sake of argument. Now our ABC conversation comes in. It could get messy, right? And we need to figure out how we handle, if we have abstract base classes where every method in the abstract base class had to be implemented to be able to say that you're doing that feature. This proves to be an interesting problem case. It's already perhaps a little bit of an interesting problem case because I think in some of the candidate implementations right now may not implement failover in both directions, for example. There's already, I think, issues present in the implementations that are coming out that could push this issue. But they're going to be there, times in as we move forward with this. So I don't want to blow up that problem right now, but we are going to face the problem soon. Well, I can't implement exactly this method. I can only do it for groups and I can't do it for individual volumes. Or if I do it for individual volumes, I'm implicitly treating the group. That might be an answer. You have to do them all, but that's what you do. Or we might say, no, we don't like that kind of implicit stuff. We need a graceful way to fail. So I'm interested. So I'm interested in figuring out, as we go forward, we're going to have to figure out some way of dealing with that stuff without solving some big blockade problem that's going to stop everybody from doing anything.
So this is Yes, I mean, John has talked about this exact issue for quite a long time, and I'm totally on board with him with respect to this of having, depending upon what you're doing, you don't know really what you're getting because of whatever the driver chooses to implement. And with respect to CGs and replication, makes it even more difficult because certain aspects of it, drivers implement it, and certain aspects they can't for whatever reason, you know. One of our arrays has this problem. We can't do CGs because of a couple technical reasons. So I guess this is why it's somewhat better that we move slow on these things rather than quickly. On one hand, right? I mean, it's
right. There's a danger, or there's potential danger that I think is easily avoided if we keep our eyes open.
yes.
Just that we will be trying an early implementation. You say everybody has to do it this way. Sorry, Jay, not talking about.
No, I think V2 is an early implementation.
No, I agree. No, I just love the term enshrouding.
Yeah, that's right.
Involved.
Yes.
All right, so enough said.
Yeah. Yep.
I can laugh without it being about V1. It's all right.
But that's kind of the purpose of these meetups, right? Is to raise these issues, discuss them, and see what makes sense as a community moving forward. So that way we don't design ourselves into a hole and get into trouble up
We'll
front.
give some context for some new comments since they come back.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think it's great that Bing is raising this issue because anyone that's doing replication is going to run into these kinds of things pretty quickly. And we want to make sure that we're not baking in bugs and problems that are going to make it difficult for customers and operators right off the bat.
So I anticipate we'll be putting up a blueprint spec, you know, and some work in progress.
Yeah.
Discussion.
Sounds like a good place for an experimental API too. To a certain extent.
I don't think it's going to be a brand new change. It's not going to be new API. I don't think it's going to be new API though. It's experimental. We usually will be, so you add new.
A generic grouping API sounds like a.
Um,
I'm not talking about the replication for CGs. I'm talking about his 2.1 kind of idea, right? So.
no, I was actually still thinking of the existing construct. So like I was saying about using the tool and that. But I think that's whether new or within existing. I prefer within an existing, but we can talk about that.
Thanks for letting me segue into this topic.
Discussion.
Who is actually implementing replication in here?
So we will be doing Mitaka, not yet, but Mitaka, working in
Yeah.
progress.
Mitaka.
Right? No. I made a list.
I made a list.
Do you want to give us an update on what?
Sure. So I gave a session in the general bit with John, so I'm Ed from Solidfire. I don't know what John did this morning, but I guess I can use the word section. So we gave a session yesterday just kind of showing what we had in replication and kind of how it worked in the general sessions. We went through, we kind of talked about the history and where we got to, and then we went through the demo. And there were a lot of discussions around difficulties just for these things, for groups, consistency groups, how every backend array is different. There were some questions around replicating in ways from 1 to 3. How do you do failover? How do you pick which one? What happens if one of those targets goes offline? And you know, John was answering a lot of these questions because the code's very fluid. So in that case, like he just says, I go in error, and then you need to fix it. Right? So there was a lot of admin fixing because we can't, and I think it was good for the general population to see why this is so difficult and where it's going to be we get to. So there are a lot of questions like that, and Simon, you were in them too.
I don't think there's anything really controversial that came up. It's just everyone wants to happen.
I think that people's eyes were open based on the number of permutations and combinations that happen. So
there were a lot of questions around what about this, this would happen or this would happen. And then that's where John's absolutely saying, we're not that far down. This is why it is really, really complex and we have to take baby steps.
Yes.
That's core before it will work.
So no automated failover, those kinds of things. This is not bubbling up to the user of the cluster or of the cloud. This is really an end to say we have my data centers of a burning hole, so I'll do the flip over. And there was a whole 5 minutes around what happens to the VM when this happens. Well, your VM will crash, right? Because the source where it was connected to is no longer there. And then a few people started asking about multi-attach and multi-pathing, which we got to sort of, how that works, but you're not going to multi-path with a targeted replication. So that was the intent, was to kind of take some of what we talked about here, display it.
If I may add one other thing that came up, because the testing was a multi-node requirement that this needs to be.
Yeah, and this guy back here is going to help us fix that. So we got something to negate. Yeah, we're gonna try to build the reference. So right now, that's one of the big problems is that everybody's CI gets twice as big, at least even if we're just doing one-to-one replication. Right? We're now gonna have two targets. What about two clusters? And all that kind of stuff. And we don't have anything to gate, so we're gonna have to rely on CI systems to do these tests. And even at SolidFire, we're going to have to get more resources to get this testing. I don't believe John's, from what I've seen, we don't have any automated testing on the test machine. So
we have the same problem too. Yeah, we have to dedicate two 3-part arrays to testing this stuff, and we don't have an automated way of doing that yet either. And we're scratching our heads going, oh my God, this matrix of CIing is quickly blowing up. If you want to cover every aspect of what our drivers do with multi-attach and multi-path and iSCSI and FC and now replication and CG groups, it's a non-trivial.
Afterwards about, how do I do one to many? So there's another testing scenario, and I know NetApp where I worked for a while to do staged snap mirror, right? Chain. Yeah, chain stack here. So I got some questions around that, and I was like, so it's very vendor dependent. It was called update on Cinder replication.
There was another replication presentation that I attended yesterday, and it was the hypervisor-based replication, which looked pretty interesting. They're starting up a new project called SMAUG that is all about doing replication from the hypervisor side of things, and it's a replication as a service. And they included replicating Cinder volumes as part of that too, and a lot of head scratching going on there. But the presentation was pretty good, so you guys probably should check that one out too. Smaug, like the dragon, Lord of the Hobbit, Lord of the Rings.
Not Smaug?
No, it's not Smaug. Smaug. Smaug.
Smaug.
Smaug.
All right. Should we take a break?
Sounds good.
10-minute